Hello everyone, this is a presentation video on Christian ethics and how it can be applied in the media ethics domain. To begin with, Christian ethics concerns with virtuous and non-virtuous behavior, the conduct of rich towards poor, moral beliefs on war. God wants the people to consider the action, person's attitude about the action, person's motive for doing the action, and results of the action. There are a total of 7 virtues in the Christian ethics. Prudence, which is the ability to judge between actions at a certain time. Justice, which means to be fair. Temperance, that refers to the practice of self-control. Courage, which is the ability to confront fear or uncertainty. Faith, meaning to have belief in God. Hope, which reflects on refraining from despair. The last virtue is charity, which is a moral behavior of helping others. The moral conduct and legal system of justice that the Western Christian civilization have been following arose from a foundation that we know as 10 Commandments or Decalogue. God wrote 10 Commandments on 2 tablets of stone which he gave to Moses on Mount Sinai. First commandment reads that you shall have no other gods before me because you must be faithful to whom you follow. Second commandment proclaims that you shall make no idols. If you do so, the God punishes the children for the sin of parents. These both commandments focus on the loyalty towards God. Third commandment says that you shall not take the name of the Lord in vain, meaning you are not supposed to misuse the name of the God. Keeping the Sabbath day holy is the fourth commandment. Since God made earth, heaven, sea for 6 days, but rested on the 7th day, therefore you shall work for 6 days, but on the 7th day, which is the Sabbath day, you shall devote your time in worshipping God. Fifth commandment reads, honor your father and mother so that you may live a long life. Sixth one implies that you shall not murder, since it is a sin and a crime. Being faithful in marriage is what seventh commandment is about, as adultery devalues commitment between husband and wife. Number 9 goes as, you shall not bear false witness against your neighbor. You should not lie or deceive anybody, but be truthful. The last commandment declares that you shall not covet. You should not have the desire to get something that does not belong to you. Moving on, there are certain areas or spheres where Christian morality is applied. In some field, these ethics may be outdated as per the present situation. This video will deal with slavery, violence, abortion, sexual morality and celibacy, homosexuality, alcohol, divorce, and finally wealth and poverty as the areas of applied Christian ethics. Starting with slavery, St. Augustine, a Christian theologian and philosopher, defines slavery as something that is against God's intention and an act resulting in sin. In modern days, Christian organizations denounce the acceptance of slavery. Violence. Like slavery, Christian morality was also not in favor of violence. Christian pacifists state that since Jesus was a pacifier himself who taught and practiced pacifism, his followers must do likewise. Christian pacifism is basically a theological and ethical position that any act of violence is incompatible with its moral faith. Jesus opposed violence by saying that all who will take up the sword will die by the sword. Abortion. While slavery and violence were against Christian norms, abortion has been ambiguous. Roman Catholic Church disapproves to remove an embryo or a fetus, but chemotherapy or hysterectomy of pregnant women suffering from cervical cancer is accepted. Since the 20th century, the Protestants' views on abortion has been divided. The conservative Protestants favor anti-abortion, whereas the mainline Protestants support abortion rights. Sexual morality and celibacy. As the views on abortion remain at odds, early writing regarding sexual morality and celibacy state that sex is not sinful but natural, and sex within marriage is proper and necessary. There is no such commandment in the New Testament that Jesus' disciples have to live a celibate life. Homosexuality, however, draws a fine line as the voices on sexual orientation and homosexuality are diverse. Some Christian groups regard homosexual acts as sinful, while some consider it to be morally acceptable. Alcohol. In regard to drinking, Bible and Christian tradition taught that alcohol is a gift from God, but excessive consumption is sinful or at least a vice. From mid-19th century, Protestants have moved from allowing moderate alcohol use to avoid drinking or prohibiting because it was a sin. Divorce. According to the Synoptic Gospel, which is the doctrine of Matthew, Mark, and Luke, Jesus emphasized on the stability of marriage but also integrity. Protestant Church allows divorce except as a last option but does not exactly prohibit. Eastern Orthodox Church permits divorce and remarriage under given clauses. Wealth and poverty. As of divorce, wealth and poverty is also modeled in the similar way. One end sees wealth and materialism as evil, which is to be avoided, while the other end focuses on the element as a blessing from God. Meanwhile, the Christians argue that acquiring wealth is not the axis of one's life, but only a resource to drive a good life. So what is it that media practitioners can learn from Christian ethics to work ethically in this profession? Out of the 7 virtues, Christian ethics talks about justice. Being involved in the media sector implies that the reporting has to be fair and impartial. Biasness or taking sides hamper the ethical principle of media. The 9th commandment emphasizes on truthfulness. As a media person, he or she must be responsible to circulate the information that are factually accurate and true. In ethical terms, the person must not in any way deceive the audience by providing false data. Thank you for watching the video.